right, folks. Just real quick here. I'm going to go over this April 8th thing happening. It's going to be April 8th where I'm at in 30 minutes. What to expect and not to expect during this eclipse. Is the rapture going to happen? Emphatically, no way, Jose. Impossible. Can't happen. Anybody who's telling you that Jesus could come back is wrong. They might be a liar. They might be a heretic. But, we won't judge them. So, Jesus is not coming back. This is not a rapture event. It's impossible for Jesus to come back at the very least. Okay, next. Is the world coming to an end? No, that doesn't happen until after the millennial reign of Christ. Is the tribulation going to start? No. The tribulation starts at the midpoint of the 7-year peace treaty, the covenant with many people. The tribulation is not going to start. Is there going to be supply chain interruptions? I don't know. Is there going to be civil war breakout? I don't know. Is there going to be an earthquake? People are, kind of wondering, because how many times in history do we have recorded where 2 different eclipses created an X and then there was an earthquake? Well, 100 years ago that happened. Were they correlating or not? I don't know. Was it just a coincidence? I don't know. So is an earthquake going to happen? If God marking an X over a country causes an earthquake, and by being done so with solar, the paths of totality of a solar eclipse, then I would, if that's true, then I'd put my money on yes. And if there's an earthquake, then there's going to be supply chain interruption. If there's supply chain interruptions, you divide a country. Problems. But we don't know any of that. What we do know is Jesus is not coming back until after the tribulation, at the earliest. Okay? And that's just to come back and set up and reign for 1,000 years. The sign of Jonah. This is not the sign of Jonah. Everybody keeps saying that this is the eclipse is a sign of Jonah, because a couple people have looked on the internet and looked up when the Jonah event happened and looked up when a solar eclipse happened, and they are saying that that is the sign of Jonah. But that is not what Jesus said. Jesus very clearly told us what the sign of Jonah is, and that is that the Son of Man, as Jonah was in the whale, was going to be in the ground for 3 days. He clarifies it. Anybody that's preaching anything different probably also isn't mentioning that very clearly, that Jesus clarified what he meant. So if someone is preaching to you that the sign of Jonah is the solar eclipse, and that's what Jesus was talking about, and there was a solar eclipse on the time when he was crucified, well, I'm sorry, folks, that's not what he was talking about. Jesus very clearly said, as Jonah was in the well or the deep or whatever version you read, so will the Son of Man be in the heart of the earth. Jesus died, was dead for 3 days. He went to hell, okay, which is in the heart of the earth. So the sign of Jonah is not, and is emphatically not, the solar eclipse. Did a solar eclipse happen when there was a judgment event over Nineveh? Possibly. Was you there? Was I there? No, we don't know for sure. But what I do know for sure is that Jesus said that that sign has nothing to do with a sky turning, the sun losing its light. Okay? It has to do with Jesus rising from the dead. Dying and rising from the dead. Death, burial, resurrection. 3-step process of a 3-day metamorphosis from man to God. So, what else is going to happen? April 8th. Got any more questions? I'm just saying, there is so much stuff going on out there that's trying to get everybody afraid. Now, apparently, the CIA, according to all these talking heads, is saying that you need 2 weeks supply. If you don't got it, you're screwed. I don't got it. God's going to have to take care of me with what I do got. But what I'm saying is, whatever it is, Texas has been planning for 2 years. What's going to happen? You know? Is there going to be a surge of witchcraft? Probably. I would imagine so. I mean, from what I understand, witches like the moon. So the moon's going to be dark. The sun is going to be bright. Oh, the size of the sun and the moon are 400 times bigger than the moon, 400 times away. That's garbage. Enoch says it's within the firmament. Okay? The sun and the moon are the same exact size. That's why they can cover each other up. Whether it's the moon in front of the sun or the sun in front of the moon. It's the same size. Anything else about this eclipse? Just get out the hype. If you don't know God, you need to start studying, because here's what I do know. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a war going on. Peace Treaty was talking right before. All this stuff is lining up mathematically with the end times, mathematically with the prophetic last 2 hours from when the time clock started, as everybody says, and Israel became a nation. So there is so much stuff going on. You know, there's this, the year of the locust is about to happen. So bugs are about to eat all kinds of stuff up, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Is there going to be no harvest? Because all these cicadas come out of the ground. All these locusts come out of the ground in mass like a plague of maybe potentially biblical proportions. That's curious. Okay, a devil's comet. Here's what I do know. God put the stuff in the sky for signs of the time. This is not the sign of Jonah, but it is a sign, and it is of the times. And I believe that very shortly, maybe within the next 40, 50 days, I might just be hoping here, because I do hope for the peace of Israel. If we had a peace treaty by June, I would not be surprised. Part of me is excited about that idea, because, you know, we got 7 years before the tribulation is over, the wrath of God's poured out, and millennial reign will begin after that. So part of me is like, oh man, if it don't happen, if there's no peace treaty, we got a little bit more time. But then you got, you got 2 New Years in the Jewish faith. You got a religious New Year, and I can't remember what the other New Year is. But there's another solar eclipse happening then. So is God preparing us for this peace treaty, preparing us? Very possible. These could be the big signs in the sky, 7 years apart, twice in 1 year. Could be signs. What we know is Jesus is coming back 2,000 years after he left. Well, that's almost here. And then the math lines up for the last 2 hours, which puts us at 2031, the return, the end of the tribulation. So this is just a quick end of the world video. End of the world as we know it. Tomorrow might not be the same. If it is, and there's an internet connection, you'll still see me here. April 8th eclipse warnings update. If you know Jesus, the only warning you need to know is as soon as you see that peace treaty, you got 3.5 years to be ready to hide for 3.5 years or die. Or take the mark and go to hell forever and burn in the lake of fire.